Former President Donald Trump is in Washington tonight after last night's rally on New York's Long Island. He's taking part in a Fighting Anti-Semitism in America event and addressing the Israeli-American Council's National Summit. Vice President Kamala Harris campaigning in Detroit with Oprah Winfrey for a Unite for America live streaming rally. And with just 47 days to go until Election Day, a new poll from the New York Times has the candidates tied in a nationwide survey of likely voters. Joining us now, Taurean Small and Caitlin Huey-Burns. Great to have you both here. Let's begin, Taurean, with this controversy in North Carolina. There's a fallout over a CNN report. Mark Robinson, the lieutenant governor of the state, facing allegations of misconduct on an adult website. How is this playing out in your latest reporting?
Yeah, no response yet from the Trump-Vance campaign on this reporting, but sources within the GOP tell me that this is obviously devastating. I've been reaching out to sources all day just to get their reaction to this, and this is something that could pretty much impact the fate of this race. This is a must-win state for the Trump campaign. This is a very significant race at the top of the ticket, obviously, after the presidential race. But the allegations or the things that were unearthed in these forum posts is definitely damaging to Mark Robinson. We did see a response from North Carolina's Democratic Party. The chairperson there said that this is not a surprise to voters. She said Mark Robinson has showed who he was before, and this is just another example of that.
Caitlin, this is a breaking story. We're still doing our reporting here at CBS News about these allegations against Mark Robinson running for governor, as Taurean said, in North Carolina, such a crucial state. He has been backed repeatedly by former President Donald Trump, the Republican nominee. Let's listen to what Trump has had to say in the past about Robinson.
This is Martin Luther King on steroids, okay? Now, I told that to Mark. I said, I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King ×2.
Caitlin, we know we're still trying to figure out exactly what we know, but we do know that CNN is reporting that Mark Robinson made incendiary comments, allegedly, on an adult website about race, about sex, about politics, and about myriad other topics. What are you hearing among your sources about this unfolding story?
Well, Bob, about a month ago, I was covering a Trump rally in Asheville, North Carolina, and one of the speakers that was in line to introduce Donald Trump was Mark Robinson. And out of all of the speakers that were there that day, he got the biggest applause from the crowd, with the exception of that for Donald Trump. More excitement for him than there was for the sitting senator there, Ted Budd. So that just goes to show that the kind of Trump base has been really revved up by and for Robinson, at least in that setting. He has campaigned for Donald Trump. He has appeared with Donald Trump, but they haven't been kind of polling at the same level. North Carolina is a battleground state this time around. Republicans have been winning it for a while now, and Democrats have seen it as a key battleground. But Donald Trump has been running ahead of Robinson in the polls. Robinson has been behind Josh Stein, the Democratic candidate there. So Robinson was really hoping for coattails from Donald Trump in that state, instead of the other way around.
Caitlin, let's stick with you. You've been reporting on labor and the battle for the union vote in Michigan. You've spoken with the Teamsters, who have not issued an endorsement this time around in the presidential race. Let's listen to one of your conversations with a Teamster member.
I'm a little bit shocked, but our general president has his view. I have no right to challenge his view. He was elected by the body, and that is his job. I was elected by the body in the state of Michigan to do my job.
So, Caitlin, give us a little bit of the backstory here to what's going on with the Teamsters. You have a rank and file member there talking about Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters leader. There's not a national endorsement from the Teamsters, who often do back the Democrats. Is this a win for the Trump campaign, or how are the Democrats reacting to this, and how are Republicans in Michigan reacting?
Yeah, Bob, we've been on the ground in Michigan all week covering Trump and Harris coming here later today. And yesterday we were at a local Teamsters office as that announcement was coming down that the national Teamsters were not going to endorse a candidate this time around, even though their own internal polling that they showed that their members favored Trump over Harris. But we were with a local leader here who is kind of on the board of all of the Teamsters here in Michigan. And he was adamant about supporting Kamala Harris and getting all of his members to do the same. And in fact, while we were there, they sent out an endorsement of Harris. So his argument, the person that we heard from there, Kevin Moore, said that, the national leadership is one thing, but what will really make the difference in key battlegrounds like Michigan is the local level. And so you saw an array of local Teamsters come out and endorse Harris. But, covering Trump as well, he does have union support here, and that is kind of the key constituency here in Michigan and in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, these 3 states that will help determine who wins the presidency. The union vote is key, and both campaigns are fighting for those votes. The UAW, United Auto Workers Union, endorsed Harris, but we talked to a member the other day at a Trump rally here in Michigan, who said that he was supporting Trump because he's concerned about his job being sent overseas. And so, you kind of have this divide sometimes between the party, the union leadership and the rank and file. But in terms of mobilization on the ground, those kinds of local endorsements, local support could really make the difference in a state like Michigan, which, was decided by about 150,000 votes last time.
Taurean, you've spent a lot of time covering the vice presidential side of this presidential race. Senator Vance comes from Ohio, has working roots. You have Tim Walz from Minnesota, a populist Democrat in the eyes of his allies. How are these battles for the labor vote playing out on the vice presidential side of this race?
Well, what's interesting, when this no endorsement came out, it was right after Senator Vance took the stage. He didn't take questions about it after, but his campaign, though, was pretty celebratory about the news. Look, the Trump-Vance campaign says no endorsement is essentially an endorsement for them. This would be the first time in 30 years they didn't back a Democrat. And they're definitely, talking about how rank-and-file members have broken away from where those union leaders stand. I remember covering a Trump event where he brought up this union worker, and he pretty much said the same thing, that his members, despite what the union leaders are saying, are firmly behind Donald Trump. They're looking to draw daylight between the future of where the Republican Party is going and the future where the Democratic Party is going. And by contrasting the history of support from these union leaders or from these union groups around Democrats to now is how they're looking to do that.
And real quickly, Oprah Winfrey's going to be back on the campaign trail tonight with Vice President Harris in a capacity. Let's look at what Tony DeCopel had to say to her at the Democratic convention.
Why was it so important to risk that reputation, all of that trust, all of that capital for this moment?
Because I really care about this country. And there couldn't have been a life like mine, a career like mine, a success like mine without a country like America.
And Caitlin, very quickly, what do you expect to hear from Oprah Winfrey tonight?
Yeah, she's hosting a live stream event. There will be a live audience there. And the Harris campaign is really hoping that Winfrey, who has beamed into living rooms across the country for years and years and years, can kind of get those same people to leave their houses, get engaged in the election, and turn out to vote, those persuadable voters in states like Michigan and beyond.
The Oprah effect. We'll see if it has one in Michigan and elsewhere. Taurean Small, Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you so much for your reporting. And a quick programming note. Join us early on October 1st at 4 p.m. Eastern for a special vice presidential debate edition of America Decides live from the Big Apple, New York City. CBS News will moderate the debate and bring you coverage all evening long.